tourists come through here, just so you know, they're gonna look pretty creepy coming out of the ivy wall because there's a little stairwell right there. And sometimes they come from another location that's over there, so they'll come out there way, or they'll come in the way we just came in. So just kind of be mindful of them. And in the event that somebody needs to pass by us, you'll just lower your camera. So a lot of tourists like to cut through here because this is honestly one of the most beautiful places in all of Charleston.
Okay.
It's another reason why I didn't want to take it out of my route, because it's one of my favorite places here ever. So, welcome to Philadelphia Alley.
Philadelphia Alley.
They named it that because they had to change the name from Dueler's Alley, because this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston.
Makes sense.
Dueling
Secluded.
Dueling was illegal, so they had to find hiding spots, and this used to be one of the hiding spots, like you said, secluded. So when they wanted to get rid of the Dueler's Alley name, they named it after one of the cities that helped us out of one of our many, many fires, Philadelphia. So that's why it's called Philadelphia Alley. They wanted to get rid of the nickname. We're here because of the duels. Every ghost tour comes down here. It's another reason why I wanted to take it out, because if you've been in Charleston before, you've heard the story. However, you haven't been here ghost hunting.
Haven't been here.
So,
This is our first time in Charleston.
yeah, but
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
who's here often, or even locals, they're like, okay, we know the story of this doctor. He's a doctor that we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
That's why the word medic made sense to me.
Oh.
Yeah. See, that's why you guys keep me around. But they're like, we heard the story. I'm like, yeah, but you've never been here, and I'm going to give you a few extra details because I researched this actual duel instead of just telling the ghost story part of it.
Right.
So here's how this goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. In the event that the song Brown Eyed Girl shows up for you while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time. It's him just saying hello. So we're going to talk more about other ways he says hello too. Anyway, he moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited...
Piano. I just heard piano.
Like you heard a piano or the word piano?
Heard piano. Kind of like
the music.
the music piano, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me know when you hear the words. Because again, I expect you to hear instruments because you're listening to radio.
Right.
So I know you've heard the fiddle and opera and those kind of things. Let's just try to focus on words that are coming through. So, because none of the people we're going to be discussing tonight were musicians. None.
Right.
So, unless they were, that'd be the only point where I'd be like, oh my god, you heard a piano. So, just kind of keep that in mind. So, moving on. So, where was I? Amanda. She inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow that she just got. And the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd, her boyfriend, is just after her money. So, he tells her to get rid of the doctor. He moves here to prove that he's not after her money. He's going to start a medical practice here in Charleston. And on his way into town, he had a coachman, and that coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It was like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. So, just like to put it in perspective when we have teens, you got the point. Now, sorry.
Don't get in the Ubers.
I try not to scare people away from Ubers, but it's just the only, analogy I can come up with. Now, somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen because he knew the coachman. So the person walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. I say his name slowly because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from.
Rhode Island.
Right. So we were getting the letters RI on regular spirit boxes, so I bought another device specifically for this location. It's not always productive, but it gives us letters. It basically works like a digital Ouija board. You've probably seen it. It's called an Envoy. So Sam and Colby have one. I know they do. And I think the two gents that they used to hang out with that now have a separate channel have one, so it's a common thing now. But that's the reason why I bought it, was for this location. We've had the letters RI now 7 times, because it just happened again 2 nights ago, whenever I bring up Ralph's name. And it gives it to us consecutively.
Okay.
So that way I know who it belongs to. Doc of Rhode Island, or Ralph Isaacs with RI's initials. You guys got the point.
Yeah.
Moving on. Ralph tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy, the coachman. He's going to try to kill him. Like, come with me. I got friends. That you can rent a room from them. They're at 59 Church Street. So the number 59 is a common number that shows up here too. Very specific number, right? So anyway, Doc took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. He's making his own. She gets wind of this from Rhode Island, and she's going to be moving down here, so they could be married. Dr. Ladd's a pretty happy guy. He became known as the Whistling Doctor. Another reason I hate this story. It's a giant cliche. Every haunted city you will ever visit, ever, will have a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. I'm just going to put that out there. Ours just happens to be a doctor, but there's a lot of legitimacy to this. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the duels. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money than him. He gets better seats. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. Now, they go see Richard III one night, and they're arguing on their way home over the actress they just saw. Dr. Ladd thought she was great, Ralph didn't. Ralph then starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island, and it got really ugly. They went their separate ways. Ralph has friends in town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and tells them to place an ad for him, telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of stuff. Doc saw the ad in the paper, because obviously Charleston's not that big yet,
Right.
and he rebuttals, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's gonna die. All this started over an actress, by the way. I'm just gonna point that out. So the
Sounds
two-
very familiar with some stories.
I know, right? The two gents came down back to back, took their 10 paces away from each other. They turned. Doc points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. Just needed the courage to show up. He only has one bullet. That's how the duels work. Ralph still has his. He puts his in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc fell to the ground. He didn't die. Ralph proved his point. He's still pissed. He's not willing to forgive. Doc's friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. Let me point out two things. It is 1786. Gunshot wounds back then, a lot different than what we know of them now. So, he's also a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself. But he failed, obviously, because he died. Now, every ghost tour that comes down here, which is literally all 334 ghost tours that we have here in Charleston, will tell you to listen for the whistles when you're down here. You have a camera running, plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a disembodied whistle, it will more than likely show up on one of these two devices. We're not always going to hear it in real time. Have I heard them in real time? 3 times in the past 4.5 years that I've been coming down here. So, they've been live or while I was leaving, like walking past it. So, the other thing that we'll get is on your spirit box, we have the radio chatter coming through. We'll get the whistling part of a song, and then the word doctor from a commercial, like the word medic you heard, immediately after. So it's like a doctor, get it all the time. That's the way he'll say hello. I watched somebody's like, oh, they're telling the whistling doctor story. So if you're going to try this on your own, I know you guys are leaving tomorrow morning, but if you ever come back and you walk through this alley and you try to like capture it with your voice recorders from your phones, just remember every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street will all throw a whistle down this alley every single night. So here comes your tour. They're going to be coming. Yeah, you got it. Perfect. So I always throw a whistle down here ever since I got thrown out of here. That's the fun part of the story. We're going to get into that. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. How are you?
We're good, man.
Good.
I don't always like to tell this part when other people are walking by. You got the point.
At the end?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nope. More.
Like I said, they're usually in like packs of 20.
Oh, wow.
So it's a Sunday night, so he's probably in his last
Is
bit.
that it?
Yeah. So here's how I got thrown out of here. Here's the fun part.
Got thrown out of an alley.
Yeah.
I love
Shows
it.
you also how much research I do on this space, on each space that we go to. This alley didn't always go all the way through the way we came in. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this used to be called, before Dueler's Alley, Cow Alley. This
Cow?
is yeah,
Like
cow.
moo moo?
Mhm.
Okay.
This is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so cows, chickens, and goats were down here, nicknamed Cow Alley.
All right.
So what does that mean for you? That means that the bricks down at the other side are
I heard
older.
40.
It's the second time we've had 40, because they showed up on my word list when we were back at the mansion. The bricks on the other side are older than the ones we're standing on. So those bricks down there are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, and fingerprint swipes in others. And I used to take my groups all the way through for a history lesson. Because remember how I feel about cemeteries?
Yeah.
That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. That's the
Right.
last place you're going to find him.
Yeah.
Okay, he's probably with his mom somewhere. You guys get the point. So took my team down there November 26th of 2020, and they're all huddled around that brick. It's a full sold out group. I got 10 people. They're waiting for something to happen with the gear that I just handed them from before. I know nothing's going to happen. I'm trying to shoot them along. Like, let's go, guys. I'm also trying to be respectful to the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley because we're outside of his dining room window.
Oh.
He came out screaming. My daughter was on the tour that night. She was probably the one that's, that was 2020, so she's going to be 18, so she's about 13, 14 years old. She thought it was hysterical because this guy is yelling at her father. Like, she thought it was great. So we moved on. We got out of Dodge, right? So my group's like, they're trying to stand up for me. Like, you just mind your own business and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, we were actually out of bounds for tours. Like, I wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I was new at this.
Yeah.
So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in upper management for Walmart before I started doing this. Like,
Okay.
I literally walked away from it to
Yeah.
come roll the dice. And you guys fight over towels on Thanksgiving. So I just don't work on Thanksgiving ever again. So anyway, she's like, nope, that's not me. I don't want to do that crap.
We don't Black Friday shit.
Yeah.
No.
But that used to be the thing. You got the point.
Yeah, yep.
The next day was the 28th. I called my partner that I had at the time that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened. He laughed at me just like my daughter did, and he said, "Dude, you can't go down there. It's it's residential. It's off limits. You can only go down halfway."
Okay.
He's like, "There's already been a complaint," and which I'm guessing came from the guy that screamed at me the night before. So
That was me.
right. So told my group that night I got to reroute the group because the rest of my route was through the alley and down that way, so I can't go that way anymore.
Okay.
So I have to figure something out. So I told him I don't believe in this next story because I'm into vampires. I'm not into pirates. Obviously, we're talking about pirates next, in case you didn't figure that out. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The female pirate, Anne Bonny. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe we're gonna get something. I took everybody around the corner, told them what I did know about pirates. Again, it wasn't my thing at all. Somebody else heard the number 300 on their spirit box. So I have a lot of spirit boxes in case you didn't pick up on that. I don't know what the 300 is. I wrote it down. I do the research for them. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300 year anniversary of her piracy trial.
Wow.
That's normally the reaction I get. I was pissed off. Let me explain. I already told you, like, I'm a writer. I actually have a master's degree in creative writing, and all of my bachelor degrees are in all types of writing.
Right.
Whenever I'm researching anything, I need facts and data, especially paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Pirate stories come from pirate lore. Pirate lore was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy. The days of Anne Bonny and Blackbeard, basically. It's very diluted.
Yeah.
Which means whenever people were finding things over the past 4 years, I had to read a ton of books to try to verify what was going on. So it just meant more reading. Half my library now, I had to make room and just make one bookcase, nothing but pirate books. Just because that's how this goes. I've read more books, watched more movies, documentaries, played more video games based on pirates, and now I'm wearing beads, just like pirates do. My wife makes fun of me. You weren't into pirates 4 years ago. Shut up, wife. She's the one who picked out the damn beads because the beard is new. She wanted the beads in there. I'm like, okay, we'll put the beads in. She's all about the beard. Yeah, I have a baby face and I get carded for milk. I would look like I was her age if I didn't have the silver in the beard.
Right.
So that's kind of how that goes. But anyway, where we're going, it is a 50-50 shot if Anne Bonny will be there. I'll explain once we get there of why that's a 50-50 shot, but I do expect bleed over from Dr. Ladd. And Anne Bonny's history is fascinating. So the tale that I tell is obviously going to provide a lot of detail. I will speed through it so we can actually get back to work because it is like story to story, back to back, and we're waiting for 2 pieces of evidence after that. So hopefully we'll get things from Dr. Ladd and Anne Bonny. Any other major questions about dueling that I might be able to answer for you?
Nope.
Beautiful, beautiful space, by the way. It is like one of the most picturesque places in all of Charleston because it's obviously lit at night, and even during the daytime, like you can have all the different foliage. And spring and summer, just so you know, so on the spring side, the bushes on the right that are actually over the fence, like the ivy, it's actually honeysuckle. So when you walk in here, the whole thing smells sweet. In the fall, the tree here on the left is an anise tree. You know what anise is?
Licorice.
Exactly.
Smells like licorice.
You got it.
I did not know
Wait.
that.
Because I don't like it.
Well,
I
you
don't
guys
like
are from the
anise.
north. Do you guys know what Pitzel cookies are?
Patel cookies?
Pitzel. So it's like a flat iron cookie. It looks like a snowflake, like it's a Christmas cookie.
Oh, yeah.
That's also made with anise.
Yes.
So those are like one of my favorites. Obviously, living down here, I don't get them anymore. So when I'm down here in the fall, I know Christmas is coming because I can smell the anise.
the tree,
right?
yeah.
So I almost like want to pick it off of there so I can take some home and jar it,
Right.
you know, that kind of stuff. But the whole, like I would say about half will smell like licorice. But
Yeah.
during the honeysuckle season in the spring, and that was like 2 weeks ago when that was in full blossom,
Okay.
the whole place smelled like honeysuckle. It was wonderful. And there were like no insects, no bugs around it at all because again, it's still chilly here for our bugs and insects.
Oh, okay.
So there was and I got 2 more weeks before I won't be eaten alive. Yeah,
Not for
Good
our
to know.
bugs.
Good to know.
bugs down here. Like I wear these pants all year round when I'm down here.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Like it'll be 100 degrees down here at 10 o'clock at night, and I will have pants on
Oh, yeah, I don't
because
blame
I will
you.
get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Let's go learn about pirates. Did you hear anything?
No. Well, actually, I did hear a weird, like, siren noise. Almost like an alarm.
I have a couple of things. So I want you to keep in the back of your brain the word king.
King.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
actually relevant going into our next space. So again, bleed over would work this way as well. The words stab and wound.
Stab and wound.
Oh, yeah, we're in the
and
dueling alley.
Bathroom. I'll have to point that out because that's not on the. When I tell you like we're gonna hit 5 to 7 locations, this is where the extra couple will show up once we go around the corner because there's like 15 stories over there. So sometimes I have to tell you like an extra piece because it's showing up between the communication. The word bathroom, believe it or not, is one of those things. We'll see if anything else shows up with that, but I'll kind of tell you why the word bathroom stood out to me when we get up and around the corner. EMF in this location isn't, I don't want to say it's non-existent, but we do have 2 lampposts around here that would usually give off like an 8, so I don't get excited until we're above an 8. So again, I don't always stare at it if I'm the one using it. I will definitely be watching it when we get to the next location. You can go ahead and hit stop on your recorder and give your hands a break as we go around the corner. And let's go learn about crazy radar pirates.
Yay!
Oh, nobody laughed at my dad joke. Oh, maybe you got it. But normally I take it one step further. Are you ready? If the letter R is not a pirate's favorite letter, then what is a pirate's favorite letter? If it's not R.
I don't know.
I don't know. Either.
It must be the C.
It must be the C. It must be the C, man.
Normally, I'll get people that answer that, but it's not the answer I just gave. They're like, aye! I'm
Aye.
like, that's a good one too. I like it.
Oh, so this is honeysuckle here.
Yes.
Oh, does it smell?
It should still have a slight scent.
Oh, it does have a slight smell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. But imagine that odor
Ooh,
all the
yeah.
way through. Like you can
Yeah.
smell it all the way down the Cling Street.
That would be something.
It's gorgeous. And then this next time you guys come down, will be one giant hotel.
Hotel? Oh.
It'll stop at the edge of the yellow building. So the brick building is the bathroom piece. So I was waiting until we were able to see it. So that building used to be a restaurant called Bocce's.
Okay.
And apparently the doors, first off, never stay locked. So that's part of the reason why the place like went under because they couldn't keep the doors locked.
Oh.
Yeah. So the bathroom piece is interesting because in there we'll either get the word mirror or bathroom. There's several accounts of where the mirror fell off the wall in the bathroom but never broke.
Oh.
So in paranormal terms, I want you to kind of think of something passing through that mirror,
Yeah.
almost like a portal, and it's going to hold it together. So when it comes through so forcefully, it will fall off the wall, but it will stay intact because they held it together as they were coming through. So we do get the word bathroom and mirror around here a lot.
$500.
You had something else I was supposed to write down. What was it?
103 maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, and I heard dollar too.
Dollar?
$500.
Oh, $500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Are we gonna win $500?
No,
Oh.
we did not.
Oh.
Someone might have, but we did not.
Oh, dang it. Oh. Are those crosses on the
Offer.
building? Offer?
Oh, you guys really fill in my thunder today.
What now?
I love it.
Well, I'm
That's
not.
where I get to set the bag out
Oh.
before we kind of go through this. So, thank you for noticing those. That's actually why we're here. You're like on it. Like you're like reading my brain.
I'm very observant.
She really is
And there's a
observant.
church. Oh, cool.
So, fun fact, that is our tallest steeple here in Charleston. No other building in the peninsula can be taller than that steeple.
Sweet.
So that way we can keep the skyline of steeples.
I like that.
So no New York building can be taller than that. Can't come here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to. They won't allow it.
No.
I don't know if you guys also noticed when you guys were down here, there is no construction allowed after 5 p.m.
I don't think I ever paid much attention to that.
Most people don't.
Because I was too busy making sure I didn't run over a pedestrian.
Or a bird from earlier.
Or a bird.
For Boone Hall.
She's got that thing in her ear.
I know.
I see it all the time. So the reason why is because there are so many pockets of residential areas all over the peninsula, so that way they can keep the peace.
Oh,
Makes
that's
sense.
nice.
So
I
that's
wouldn't want to have construction.
right. And even on your own home, like
No.
none. 5 o'clock, cut off, done.
No.
Nice. Okay.
So that's kind of how the city works. It's very prudent. Very
Yeah.
prudent.
Yeah.
The crosses on this building that you so handsomely point out, they
Sorry.
are the reason why we're here. They're not crosses, and that's the first thing I ask is, did you guys notice that these crosses on this building are not actually crosses?
They're I don't
Do you know what they are?
sideways X's.
They're earthquake bolts.
The earthquake what?
Bolts.
Okay, so nobody's explained this to you. Cool. Earthquake bolts are turnbuckles. So it looks just like that on the other side. If we have another earthquake, like what I told you about earlier,
Yeah.
you can tighten the bolts in opposite directions, and it tightens the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. You've seen them all over town. You just didn't know what they were. The building behind it has them on every single floor. You may have seen them in pineapples and lion heads on buildings, and they're like on intervals. Those are actual earthquake bolts. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't
How do you move a building?
They're not moving the building. If an earthquake comes through here and shakes up this building during the earthquake or just after it, because if the building got damaged, they'll come here with giant wrenches and they will literally tighten those bolts to try to compress the building together to hold it together.
To hold it together.
So it doesn't incur more damage.
Got it.
That's the point of it.
So damage already
Oh.
has to be inflicted
Correct.
to
Now,
use that.
I point that out because it doesn't actually work, but the ones you're looking at here, the giant crosses, that's the first set that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is the building that you're staring at is the oldest government building in South Carolina.
Oh.
That's another tour guide trying to scare their group, just so you know. I
Oh.
don't do that jump scare bullshit. Sorry. It's just not what I do.
I'd probably point you or something.
I know, right? Well, let's actually move closer this way so I'm close to the voice recorder.
Have a reaction.
So this building was finished in 1713. It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. We're here because Anne Bonny was coming to South Carolina when this building was being constructed. This is what I call a familiar. Now on your YouTuber videos, they might be using a device called a Boo Buddy. What that is it's basically a teddy bear. Remember the blinky light device I pulled out earlier?
Yeah.
The EMF reader?
Yeah.
They'll have one of those in there, so if a child comes out and touches it, it'll actually have a voice box that says, ooh, that tickles, and it'll light up. Like it's
They don't use it that often though.
they don't, but I'm using it as a relativity piece based on what we're doing
Yeah.
here, because the child would recognize the teddy bear as a toy. They're trying to attract him to it. Same concept, but with a building. We don't have many buildings this old from Anne's actual era that she would actually recognize. So that's why this is a 50-50 roll of the dice if she'll even be here at the same time that we are.
Okay.
Based on what I'm seeing so far, out of the word list, and hopefully out of things that Addison's going to be hearing, hopefully we have some. But anyway, let's kind of get into this. The building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like the government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. It's okay. It's a joke. Now, our history begins right in the middle of its construction. So I will slow down on the really crazy twists of the story, but speed through everything else. We start off with a twist. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She came here with her father and his mistress, his girlfriend basically. The mistress is her mother.
Oh.
Are you with me so far?
Uh-huh.
Very easy to follow that. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife.
Oh.
Okay.
How mad was that wife, right? She kicked them out of the damn country. There's
Yeah.
no planes. They came here by boat.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, whew.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't just fly over. They had to
Yeah,
take.
it was a long trip. Long trip. Now, they landed in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So, Dad bought a plantation up there. Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. So, even though they lived in Georgetown, she was down here often trying to sell. So, let's take a step back to Ireland for just a split second. I like to give you her mentality. When Anne was only 7, 8, or 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is exact, they say Anne killed a servant with a knife to the belly. I have the word stab. I'm waiting for the word stomach or belly to show up between the two of us. So again, I want that full stab what, or who stabbed who kind of thing. But also kind of shows you her mentality as we kind of go through her history. Moving forward.
She's
The
a little
building,
crazy.
I was gonna say.
yeah, she's nuts. Building's done in
Hi,
13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is pretty stoked. The reason why, she's going to fall in love with one of these guys so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It is a man's world during these times. the first guy she fell in love with. I said first on purpose because there's a handful. We're going to cover them all. That's what makes the story. Now, the first guy is James Bonney. You already know where this one's going. I've already told you her pirate name. Now, Dad didn't approve. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name came from. However, when she gets down there, she realizes that her new husband is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. That makes him a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they did base your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering. He's a real person. Now, Jack has his own ship. He has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of the crew. You can't put a female on a pirate ship. Do you know why?
Bad luck.
Thank you for keeping it family friendly in front of your kid. Appreciate that. Now, I get a lot of raunchy answers to that. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, then you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this. The reason why is Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. We're pretty much all adults here. She's a female in his quarters.
Yeah.
Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. Right? And then they're going to get rid of Jack. They'll vote him off because every ship has its own democracy. They'll just vote him off.
Right.
So before she starts to show her pregnancy, he drops her off in Cuba. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out with the pregnancy and the baby. Come back later and we'll figure it out then. She goes and has the baby, returns without a baby. We have no idea what happened to that child. So none of my research, by the way, my library of pirate books, it's not in there. I've looked. Trust me. Anyway, she also comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry because now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. So to make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship trying to be pirates. Now,
I love it.
her name, Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Anne and Mary became friends, maybe lovers. We're not really sure because of the time frame. But the British find out where they are. They send a whole fleet of Navy ships to come take down one pirate ship. The rumor, Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks. They don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long.
Right.
Obviously, 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns cannot take on a whole fleet of Navy ships with cannons. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "Sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot, by the way. Now, the judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of this judge and they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves because they're females. The judge doesn't give a damn that they're females. They're pirates. He's going to hang them.
Right.
"We plead our bellies," was the quote they screamed back to him because they're claiming to be pregnant and you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. Very smart, because the judge then delayed their hanging. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarried. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we're not really sure. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending, because we don't know anything truthful about her after her pirate career. Too many speculations. Mary Reed died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most books will tell you that she died of fever. I call bullshit. Let's call it scurvy. Make it romantic. Why the hell not? So again, we're talking pirates.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to control this environment like what I did with the Pinckney Mansion. You can ask whatever you want to in here. I'm just going to tell you what I left out. I did not tell you the names of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. The city she grew up in Ireland. I didn't tell you what that was. The name of Jack's ship and the color of her hair. Everything else is fair game. If you get something and you want to ask things about the baby, I can't prove it. If it's a relational conversation with you, it's going to be pertinent to you only. I can't count it as evidence because there's no proof of it. Or there's no way for me to verify it, if that makes sense. So again, that's how I like to operate. So if you have a conversation, like you get 3 or 4 answers that were direct, like in correlation to what you asked, like, hey, how do you feel about your baby? And you get like baby. Like, I'm okay with that. But it's if you get 4 or 5 pieces, I might count it as like 1 point. I would want a whole lot more as part of a conversational pieces. I like facts. Those come out of names, numbers, and nouns. That's what I look for. So everything else in here is fair game. I'm definitely going to be watching the word list on here because EMF in this location is usually flat. The anomaly here is that I get excited about a 2.5. So again, definitely hit that record button on your camera.
She's been recording.
No, I have
No,
been.
she hasn't.
Oh.
No.
I have been.
She has been.
Oh, I hit it. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh.
I have a couple of things.
Oh. I hit the button, didn't even know I hit the button.
Do you guys remember where Anne stabbed the servant?
In the stomach.
How about the gut?
Oh.
And look how close it is. Stabbed gut.
Yeah.
SH. Let's talk about SH before we part ways. I told you, I never know what's going to show up. I don't always tell this story because it is cursed.
Oh.
We're going to talk about it, and I'll tell you how the curse works. Every ghost tour in town stops and ends at St. Philip's Church. There's a graveyard on the church, okay?
Okay.
So they go in front of the gate of the church, and there's a sign there, and it says, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." Because they don't want guys like me trying to recreate what happened over there. Here's what happens. 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. We normally will have the full SHH show up, but the SH, Sue Hardy, is still her initials.
Mm-hmm.
She dies 6 days after her stillborn child.
Mm.
Now, very sad right there, but 1987, exactly 99 years later, on the exact date, a photographer is taking pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries, and he captures a full apparition of a person kneeling next to Sue's grave with a baby basket next to her. I want you to look at the year, 1987, and he doesn't have the technology that you and I use on a daily basis, right? Because Mom's not even on Facebook.
Right.
So now he has no tech, so he sends it to Kodak. That's where we used to send our pictures to get them filmed.
Yeah.
In case I don't know how much knowledge she has.
She doesn't know.
Okay. So that's we had to send our pictures in so we could hold them. They weren't digital. So he sends the photo into Kodak, and Kodak basically verifies the camera that he was using, and can say that the picture wasn't altered because you actually had to do that inside of a room with certain lighting and that kind of thing. He didn't do anything to it, so they could verify it. This picture, however, is if you go basically type in top 100 apparitions ever caught, this is usually in that top 100, which is exactly why I don't always tell the story, because I let all the other tours have a show and tell. My show and tell is obviously in your hands all night long. I let them end with a good story. But the picture's cursed. The picture, they say if women are holding it, even in a digital format, I'm not going to hand this to you, I'm going to show it to you, so just don't touch the tablet when I bring it out.
Great.
And she's like, awesome, super awesome. They say if you're handling it, you'll have the same symptoms like what we talked about at the beginning, the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females are said to not have a good pregnancy.
Oh.
So you can see why I don't always tell this story. If I have a couple that's going to have a great vacation on their honeymoon, and then 9 months later I curse their family because wife wanted to touch the damn picture. That's the only thing I ask is you don't touch the picture.
I'm
I'll
not
zoom in on
touching
it. But again, last night we actually had, we had two things show up. Oh, we had baby and 99 show up very close to each other. So the picture was found exactly 99 years later, and obviously the word baby is a direct correlation.
Right.
So again, it could have been tied to Anne Bonny, right? So until I have a secondary clue, I need to know where it belongs. So when we had that 99 show up, I'm like, well, now I know where it goes.
Illegal. What?
That's the word that came out?
Yeah.
Oh, illegal.
Illegal.
Let's see. Where is that picture? I know I have it. There it is. So here's the full picture that he took. Okay, so it just kind of looks like a weird picture. When you zoom in, you could see a woman.
I noticed that immediately.
But the baby basket next to her.
Aww.
So, now, I will tell you, early 2000s, mid 2010s, somebody else went there on the exact same day and caught a very wispy picture. Nothing as clear as this. So what I plan on doing this year, I'm like, let me test this out. So I'm actually going to go there on that specific date. I have an infrared camera that can see things with light that we can't see.
Right.
So I'm just going to go over there and film for about 20 to 30 minutes, because if I can get this woman standing up and then carrying her basket in a way, then obviously that's going to supersede what's going on here.
Right.
So again, I'm getting quite a big name in the paranormal field based on some of the things that I'm doing in the field.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, this is my bread and butter, but nobody ghost hunts as much as I do. Even your guys on TV and YouTube
Right.
don't do this as much as I do, and actually go into full studies. So again, for some of the things that I'm doing, that would be like, that would put me on the map for sure.
Right.
So that'll be a big deal.
That's
All right, so obviously we have a lot to ourselves, but yeah, I was kind of like, no, I don't want to tell this story when I have only females here tonight.
oh, we're good though. But
Yeah.
I'm still not touching it.
Yeah, don't touch it. Even when I send you a link, it'll be a safe link, so it won't have the picture in it, it'll just tell you the story.
Okay.
Okay, so I always make sure that you know that it's a safe link. I had to do that for them last night too, because I had 8 females and 1 gentleman. That was my group.
Well, I'm not having any more babies, but I'm still not touching
Yeah,
it.
well, I still don't want you to like feel ill.
No, I don't want to feel sick.
She gets ill pretty easily now, so.
Leave Mom alone.
I
Quit
know,
picking
she's
on her.
always picking on me.
My daughter does the the same thing to me. All right, let's take a few laps. Let's see what we can get. And if you're here, let's get some
Oh yeah,
things about you first.
I want to
this-
know where you were from
Oh,
in
yeah.
Ireland. What
Yeah.
town?
Oh yeah, because we're part Irish.
We're part Irish.
Do you know where your family's
No,
from?
no. I just know
We're part Irish.
Maybe she had brown curly hair. But I'm gonna maybe take a wild guess and maybe she was a redhead.
I heard do Randall.
Do Randall?
Yeah, like do and then Randall.
Interesting.
I don't know a Randall.
I know
Neither.
a Randall.
Well, we are also next
But he's
to a
alive.
cemetery, so
That is
sometimes
true.
we might get a little
Yeah.
bit of a trickle.
Maybe someone's named Randall who got buried there.
I don't know, but I'm gonna write it down. It's weird. Because I want to say Randall showed up on the word list here a few weeks back. And I was like, what the hell is Randall? And I couldn't find anything then. Because I do research like every name.
Charlie. I just heard Charlie.
Okay.
Oh wait, Charles? Oh, is that back from the picnic?
Guess where the husband and nephew are buried?
Oh, over here.
They're across the street. We hear
Oh.
from them all the time.
Hi.
They just kind of come over and give a
I don't
little-
know which Charles it is though.
Yeah, we
So-
don't.
Maybe it was Charles Randall. No.
If it was the husband, he'll normally, introduce himself. Like we'll get a Charles or a Charlie, and then he'll tell us something about his second wife.
Mm,
So that would be Lucas, obviously the indigo planter.
right.
But when we were last night, when we were in the alley, was when I caught the word lambs. So Eliza Lamb Pinkney, who's also buried across the street. That's kind of, I was like, oh, well, we were at least nearby it. And so I was
Right.
like, and I looked at the dates of her birthday, death, and all of those things, and nothing matched up to yesterday's date. So it's kind of like, well, is she coming through today? It was kind of like, that was kind of an oddity. But I do like Charlie. Let's see if that pops up. Should get anything extra with that. Verification. That's what we're looking for.
All right, Ann, I'm still looking for where you came from.
Salt.
I heard like drumming just now.
Yeah.
The sounds of drums.
War drums, maybe?
Maybe. Sounded more like kind
Drums-
of like musical drums.
Maybe on the pirate ship.
Maybe. Jamaica, maybe? From Jamaica?
Oh, there you go, from Jamaica.
Well, the reason I asked war is because this is a gunpowder magazine. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars.
Oh.
So sometimes we'll get things relevant to some of the soldiers that were guarding us.
Mm.
It's almost a curse to like be able to look around and tell you like a full history of everything you see. Because if you hear something weird in the background, I know why you're hearing it like that.
Right.
Like I said, it's a curse just to like look around and be able to see it all. So when I have family in town and they're like, "Oh, Nick, what's that building?" I'm like, "We're not getting into that. Let's go get a cotton candy or something." Let's just, I'm not working right now.
I'm off duty.
My father-in-law is like my biggest fan.
Yeah.
When he's down here, he goes on every tour of the nights that he's here.
Cool.
Like he
That's
he
good.
loves to watch me work.
That'd be you.
And he's the most quiet person I'd ever met in my entire life.
You're just taking it all
He
in.
just, he and I talk, obviously, like, I call him up, like, hey, dude, what's going on today? You know what I
Right.
mean? But when he's here, like, he just stays in the shadows, and then he'll just, like, he would probably, talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, so what are you finding on there?
Yeah.
Are you getting how that thing works? Because he knows how it all works. He's seen it all.
Right.
But my daughter, when she's down here from Myrtle Beach, like, she's on the tours, too. So she'll come out and she'll help out, and I might let her tell the Sue story if something pops up. You know what I
Right.
mean? I just don't let her touch the tablet. Like,
Right.
Dad will display the tablet. Obviously,
I will
she's
tell the story.
Right. But she's a drama kid, so
Oh.
she's like the backstage. She's a costume designer.
Okay.
So she's
Yep.
up on stage every once in a while. So I kind of let her get some practice. I mean, it's not like she doesn't know the stories.
Right.
She'll look at me like, "What was the year again?" And I'm like, "Come on, kid, you've heard it."
17.
Yeah. Like, how many times have you heard this?
Well, there's a lot of numbers, Dad.
Well, you gotta put them in perspective.
a lot of men for the Ann.
Oh yeah. All the J names.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have James.
Yeah.
Then you have John, who went by Jack.
hmm
And then we don't know the names of the name of the last husband.
Right.
Some say his name was John as well. It just depends on which book you're reading.
I heard like gospel music, like people singing gospel.
You're near the church. We get a lot of religious terms around here for that. You're also in the Holy City, which means you're going to hear a lot of religious stuff on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on a Sunday.
So to put things in perspective, so far the 3 major people we've talked about, Eliza Lucas, Dr. Ladd, and Ann Bonney, all the same time era. They may have known each other.
Really? Wow.
So the year Eliza got married was 1744. Doc died in 1786. And Anne lived here starting in 1708 is when she got here. So they're all...
That's neat.
Even though Anne would be the youngest one that we talked about so far, technically, she was probably the oldest out of all of them. Definitely the oldest, because Eliza was born in 1722, Anne was born in 1698, and Doc was born in 1764.
Wow.
So she was definitely the oldest and longest living out of all 3 of them.
That's cool.
So remember, Eliza died at 70, Anne died at 84.
Yeah. Huh.
So when you put things in perspective like that, you know, especially for teenagers, that's when it's like, you know, because for them, all they hear is 17, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, oh no, they may have all known each other. Right? And come on, what else you got? By the way, is this what you guys thought you signed up for? I know this is exactly what she thought she signed up for.
Yeah, because I mean, I read a little bit, like, and I read the reviews, and, you know, so I had some sort of an idea, but...
Some people show up and they have no idea what they signed up for. Like, no idea. Like, I'm going to be putting them to work with equipment and all of that thing.
Right.
Like,
I told her that. I was like, it's with equipment, so...
I was
well,
like,
my question to those people is, why would you pay my ticket prices to come hear stories for $2 when you can pay $25 and go hear stories from the other 300 tours that are in town?
Right.
You know, I understand, like, my level of education might help with that, but it's not going to help that much. Like, it's about the gear. Get here. And I'm still working even when we part ways and I send you guys home. I'm here till like 3 in the morning, possibly 4, depending on what else I'm doing.
Right.
You know, like I said, I told you I live an hour away. So if I need to record videos and, you know, the city's empty, I can go record video with my crazy cameras for my TikToks and all of the other pieces. And there's nobody out here. Nobody's going to bother me.
Right. Nice.
So I'm down here. Like, I didn't get home last night until it was almost 5 o'clock.
Oh, jeez.
That's the time you wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was getting up with the dogs at that point. She's like, what happened? I had something wrong happen, so I was trying to fix it with the thermal imaging camera, with the app and whatnot, and moving things around, so I had to figure that out. But I was like, yeah, it was just an issue. I didn't record anything extra. I went TikTok live with a friend of mine, and he was trying to help me through it. I got the name Jess. Does that mean anything to either one of you?
Jess?
Yeah.
You know a Jessica, but you don't know Jess.
No.
Like, they don't go by Jess.
Okay.
I don't think I know a Jess.
And when I ask you guys questions like that, it's for people that are no longer living.
Yeah, I don't know a dead Jess.
Okay. Dead Jess. Who are you, Dead Jess?
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap it up unless you show us a few things. Oh, it says this is a test.
This is a test?
It's a test. We don't know who Jess is.
Maybe someone from the cemetery.
Maybe.
That's the only way I can think of it, other than...
Anybody ever... you guys didn't take other tours here.
No.
The difference between a cemetery and a graveyard?
No.
So a graveyard is attached on the same grounds as the church.
The graveyard is...
So think of the church as the house, and it has a yard.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to remember it. A cemetery is off that plot. St. Philip's Church actually has both. It actually has an east graveyard and a west cemetery. If you're a native Charlestonian, you're from here, you get buried over there, next to the church.
In the graveyard.
Right. If you're not from here, everybody else comes over here.
To the cemetery.
Right. Now your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is actually buried on the other side of this wall because he's not from here. They moved his sarcophagus back and forth as they tried to figure out if he was actually from here or not, and it turns out he's not.
Oh, real nice.
So, yeah.
Imagine being dead and your coffin gets moved like constantly because they can't figure out if you were from here or not.
Well, I guess the nice thing is that it's a sarcophagus, so it's an above ground coffin. It's made out of cement. So it just takes like 8 men to pick it up and go across the street with it. So
that is true. You don't have to dig.
Put it on wheels and go.
Yeah, pretty much it. But this side of the cemetery is always open to the public till about 4 or 5 o'clock because whenever there's a president or vice president buried somewhere, they have to leave it open to the public.
Oh,
Makes sense.
I had no
So-
idea.
Clouds are a little worrisome.
Know
aren't
the
they?
way.
What'd you say?
Know the way.
Know the way?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know the
I
way,
don't
but
know the way either.
know the way to where?
Maybe and.
We should know the way.
Check on the weather.
It was from a song, I think.
Yeah, even still, that's if you heard it.
Know the way.
Well, don't get me in it.
I'm not. Well, I am.
Why
but
not?
I didn't.
I normally tell the person using that to try to keep somebody in view, so we have a point of reference.
Yeah, see?
Let's just see what's going on with the weather real quick.
Oh, you mean the black sky that's...
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at the gray sky over here.
Oh,
That sky.
yeah.
Like the black sky is clear, like that's clear skies. It's the gray clouds that are moving in, because that's the peninsula is that way. So
Oh.
if it's coming in off the water,
Oh,
like coming back, like that's a little worrisome. Because I noticed that the breeze picked up a little bit too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems we're gonna be fine. All right. We'll wait for like 1 or 2 more terms out of you, and we'll wrap this one up because I don't feel like we have much going on here either. Could be a
Well,
dead night.
And
I know.
I wanted to know where you were from.
Get your crap together, Ann. Let's do it. Again, I don't have to tiptoe around language with this one. I normally joke around like, if you brought a bottle of rum and some tobacco, let's have a good time. You'll probably attract her.
But we can go get some rum.
I know, right?
$1.
Got the word students. Hold on a moment. And one last chance. I have the word and.
And.
It's very similar phonetic sound to an.
Yeah.
I would want it obviously a little bit more precise. This is listening to the radio the same way she is, in case you were wondering how this works.
Oh,
So
You
if it-
just don't hear the static like I do.
Right. So if it recognizes something out of its 9100 word dictionary, it puts it on the screen. So if it thinks it heard the word and, it's going to put that up there. Now I know that the name Ann is in the word bank in that
Right.
9100 words. So it just depends on how it was heard from the obviously the robot inside.
It's like, where are you at? That's what it was saying to me. Where are you at?
Where are you at?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Standing in the wide open.
Well, no.
We're supposed to know the way and where we at.
And.
And
And.
Yawn.
Hands. I heard
Yawn?
hands.
hands?
Yeah. Like,
Hands?
Yeah. Hands. I don't know.
Okay. And I have the name Dawn. I don't know who that is either.
Don.
I say we
Don.
call
I know
it.
a Don.
You know
Is it
Don?
fast?
Yeah. Uncle Don, up north.
Oh yeah.
What did he do for a living?
He worked on pipeline.
Anything dealing with his hands? Something go wrong? Couple
Uh,
tunnel surgery.
No,
significant?
Alzheimer's.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he was a farmer too. He worked with his hands.
Yeah, but we all work with our hands,
yeah,
no matter what we do, right?
nothing.
It's too vague. I would want something wrong with the hands or something.
Not that I know of.
Okay. But if the word pipe shows up, you get the point.
Yeah.
Like that would make more sense to me.
Mhm.
Okay. And obviously it's spelled that way, correct? D-O-N?
Yep. Yep.
I look for spellings too. Like that's
Yep.
obviously
Nope.
important to the English guy. That's why and is kind of like, it's
Yeah.
that kind of the same sound, but not. Okay. Well, Uncle Don,
Uncle Don.
you're more than welcome to
He
come
might
with
be
us
here.
to the next location. So if you can't see us, we just won't be able to see you. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Like you got nothing going on.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the wall. I'll give you the answers, and then I'll explain the next spot because it's gonna be a lot different than what we've been doing. So the next spot. spot as our last stop.
Okay.
So. By the way, if you were on another ghost tour, it would have been long done over by now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're usually about 90 minutes.
Oh.
Like, I want to say, like, I just looked at the clock and it's 11.
Oh.
Like, we've been out at least 2 hours
Yeah.
so far. Maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes or so.
Uh-huh.
So, let's cover the quick answers for Anne. Again, not a whole lot going on here in real time, so remember the word king?
King.
So,
King.
you could stop your video in case you haven't already. In here, normally, much larger groups, I will give the history and then spread everybody out, and then I will kind of do round robins with everybody to see what's going on. With us being a small group, we're going to stick together. Well, I'm going to cover the history, and then we're going to take 1 or 2 laps on the location. You'll be the star of the show. You're just going to have Tourette syndrome and shit, you shout out whatever you hear.
Got it.
So you get the point. We do get a lot of high EMF at this location, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the EMF reader. So,
I just heard, are you ready?
are we ready? Yes, we're ready. Waiting for a spike. Oh, there it is. 25.1. Okay. Wow, that jumped up fast. So you can keep an eye on that too if you want while I'm talking, because a lot of times I'll lose focus if I'm staring at that. So 25.1, and are you ready? So let me know if it goes above 20 at this point. I like to just keep it escalating up, and I know 25 is a high number, and I brought it down, but the little blinky light device only goes to 25. So that gave us a 25.1. We would have never known that from the other device. I know it's a little subtle 0.1, but you got the point. So welcome to a parking lot. Congrats, you made it. So I told you I'd take you to weird spaces. This used to be something relevant to the history of Charleston. Let's get into it. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. The mansion sat in the front of the space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. Now, who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
That's why we look for secondary clues. In the event she hears the name Charles, I need to know which one it is, so that way I know how to address them. They're all 3 different men. They all have different personalities, the same way we do. So even though we might all have the same name, we're 3 different people, right?
Right.
So that's why I look for those secondary clues. So who the heck were the son and the nephew? They were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than all of us combined.
Right.
So I know that made absolutely no sense with me included, but you got the point. I hate politics.
Yes.
But if I don't give the gentleman that recognition, they will do it for me in a very nasty manner on a spirit box that Addison is listening to. So I just give him the recognition and I move on. We're going to be discussing Eliza instead, the mom. So she has a much better history, other than signing some really cool papers that give us our freedom, right?
Right.
Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it that way because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she married, do not expect numbers from the colonial days when young ladies got married like 12 and 14, because that's when young girls got married back then. Think of today's standards of when women get married, because the husband was over double her age when they married. It was creepy then, it's creepy now. Okay, so
It's still always creepy, no matter what year it is.
Yeah, no matter which century it's from. Oh, by the way, this is where I start withholding information, especially on your sake. Just like I explained before, I want you to kind of remain unbiased, because I'm not going to give you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the big red barn, right? So that way you don't know what you're listening for.
Right.
So moving on.
Other than Chuck, that's all I get. Still the important information.
You're going to get a lot of important information, just so you know who this woman is as we're kind of going out and about. So anyway, she married Charles because her father was over in England, where her family's from. Even though she was born in Antigua, a Spanish isle, her family's from England originally. So her father's over there, and he thinks he's dying, and he's trying to bring all the kids home one
I
last
just
time.
heard like a fiddly noise, like a guitar.
Okay.
Kind of.
He thinks he's dying. He wants to see his kids one last time. Eliza didn't believe he was dying. She stayed put, and she got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet.
Right.
So this is a true love story. There is nothing horrific about this location whatsoever. If anything, it's a place of respect. Now, she was correct. Dad did not die right away. And instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts that he sent her were the seeds of indigo. So that is a plant that makes blue dye. It makes your blue jeans blue. Carrie, you're wearing it right now, because that's how we use it.
Yes.
So with that, when she got them, she didn't know what to do with those seeds. She actually had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always warm here. So when they taught her how to do it, they taught her how to make the dye. And then she moved it to a cash crop plantation down by the Stono River. I don't know if you guys have been down there to that part of our town yet. But it's pretty far down there, actually. And then she got a hold of her father and told him that the rice plantations were going downhill in price and they were going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during the 1700s, something absolutely unheard of.
Right.
So
Right.
even before we're a country. Now, that's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are here. Now, as long as we are obviously being respectful in the location, and I'm going to say that word again, respect, because I've had people that have not been respectful here, and it never turns out well.
Good thing we are.
Yeah,
We
so
are.
I don't think we're going to have that issue tonight. But you're going to be focused on Eliza's death. So she's pretty open about talking about it. The 4 major questions that we get answered, and you can either say these out loud. I call them focus questions because you could just think about it and wait and see what happens, or you can literally ask out loud. Some people are uncomfortable with that. So especially people, muggles, that don't do this all the time or watch it all the time. So they're like, no, I'm not asking questions to somebody I can't see. She's here. She's always here.
Yeah.
So the questions: how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Do you know what a pallbearer is?
Yes. And that
Wasn't it
George Washington.
Wasn't it George Washington?
Okay, so you guys already know that answer.
We went to the house, so he
know that
already told
answer.
us.
I don't know when she died
No.
or what
how,
she died from.
Or how old she is. We didn't know that.
Okay. So the pallbearer question, I'll be honest. So I threw that one in there on purpose, like when I learned about it. Because again, everything I'm teaching you, like telling you tonight, came from a previous investigation of how I learned about it. It wasn't the city of Charleston says, here's all the stuff about the Pinckneys.
Right.
No, it was like, it showed up one night in a spirit box recording, and I was like, I just wrote it down, and then it showed up again.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, there's got to be something here. So, I mean, and it was literally George Washington. It wasn't like George and then Washington. It was literally the phrase George Washington. So, and that showed up in the same week. Who the hell's talking about George Washington on the radio, first off? So, secondly, normally, that's not something that shows up for us all the time. So at the end, when I'm revealing all of the answers, I let the team guess who it was based on what year she died after I reveal what that number is. I'm still not going to tell you what that is. But then I get excited because nobody answers. The reason why, I've already told you, I'm not giving you questions like, what color is George Washington's white horse? I subliminally put George Washington in everybody's brain on purpose to see who's going to give it to me during the round robin, even though they didn't hear it on the spirit box. I just take their spirit box and I give it to somebody else they came with because I don't want that person repeating what I've already said. So I'd like for it to not be a suggestive thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when nobody can answer, I'm excited because that means everybody passed with a fail. Like that's a good thing.
Y'all
But-
get Fs.
But you guys actually knew the answer already, so you already did a killjoy on that, which is fine. You don't know the answers to the other things.
No.
No.
So with what I'll be looking at here, it's just interesting. The number 40 just popped up.
Little gray house?
That you just heard? Little gray house. This was
Yeah.
not a little gray house.
That's what I heard. I don't know.
We might be standing where a little gray house stood because it may have been a servant quarters.
Maybe.
But I don't have any images of that to verify it. I'm still going to write it down. I'm going to be focused on what happened to the mansion. So this device will be kind of a catch-all. So even though you're asking questions or focused on her death, those answers might come over here. But if we get the what happened
I
to the
just
mansion,
searched Will Summer.
if we get what happened to the house itself, we will often get 2 or 3 numbers from the exact date of when that tragedy occurred. So names and numbers usually don't lie, so just kind of keep that in mind. Did you see any other numbers show up there while we've been standing here talking?
I have not been paying attention.
Okay, so
Real
let's-
great.
I've been listening to him talk.
Yeah, so when we're kind of doing our lap, just kind of focus on both of them. And again, have Tourette syndrome. Whatever you hear, just shout it out.
Okay.
So we did get a little gray house. Write this stuff down before we start walking. You heard something else before that. Do you remember what it was?
Cruel Summer.
Cruel Summer. And then there was a 25.1 on there. So just give me anything that's above 20 that kind of pops up on there.
Just went to 0.0. That's good.
So 0.0 just means that there's no electricity around us
Okay.
right now. So
Got it.
essentially, it's not a good sign because the Earth gives off up to 1.1. So you should always have like a point something going
just
on
went
in
up
there.
to 1.0.
So 20 is what we're looking for. 20.0 and above.
Okay.
because we've already gotten up to that point. I don't want to have on the whole notebook full of numbers. So
Right.
That's kind of how that goes. You don't want it in the report either. There's no point.
No.
I just want to see how high it'll actually go. So Mom's got her nice easy job. She's already been working. So let's just take a quick 1 or 2 laps around here. We'll just stay away from that vehicle and kind of see what's going on, and see what we can get out of this location. All right, Eliza, let's do this. Stay out of the puddles too. How about that? Does that sound like a good idea?
Yes.
Come on, Mom, you're coming too. Nice slow motion.
Oh, slow.
Walk slow. You can't walk fast.
Okay. And I
No,
have
she's
to.
good. I mean, you don't have to be that.
Oh, good. I was like, I gotta be slow and not walk in the mud. Okay.
So we're literally just waiting for Addison to start shouting out things that she's hearing. Do you need me to take that back so you can listen in and focus?
Sure.
All right, let's do that.
She can't do 2 things at once.
It's okay. There's a lot going on. I tapped a bunch of buttons, so I just wanted to restart.
I just heard like a music, but not like song lyrics, like a instrument.
Instrumental. Okay.
Well, what instrument?
It's kind of like a flute. Like it was really fast flute. I just heard like a banjo.
Well, let's get some words out of you.
Well, wasn't she a piano player?
Yeah, or someone like
I think
her daughter.
somebody
Somebody
was.
tell you that she played piano?
Yeah. Was it? Was somebody in the Boone house played
Someone
piano?
in the Boone
Maybe
house,
it
yeah.
wasn't her
I
then.
don't know that that would have been Eliza. I have done years.
So it
of
must have been the
research.
family maybe before them,
Oh, probably.
because she
With
left her piano. Somebody left
Yeah.
a piano,
To my knowledge, Eliza played no instrument whatsoever.
so it was in one of the other families.
I've read more books on this woman than I think were written. Her thing was botany. Like it was plants all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because she went to boarding school in England and
Right.
studied that.
So this is just a continuation of like the next part of her story from what you guys already know, basically.
Yeah.
Should I ask a question?
Absolutely, go for it.
Eliza, how old were you when you died?
And just keep in mind, like she can hear us. You
Right.
can just talk in normal voice. We don't
Right.
need to shout. There's no need for it. See, I'm getting like little spikes, but definitely nothing over 20. Eliza, just come closer. I already told you who was coming. Nice small party tonight. Let's just get a few answers out of you, Eliza, and we'll be on our way. We won't cry too long. And I'm here 7 nights a week. It's not like she doesn't know what we're asking. That's why I tell people, it's okay to just focus on it.
Right.
I've been coming here for over 4 years. Like, it's a rarity that we don't get something out of this location.
Driveway, I think. We are in a parking lot.
You have to think on her terms.
Right.
The word driveway is not going to be a term for her.
Right.
Know your ghost. So, just so you know what I would be looking for in this, like I would basically be looking for something like that blue area to shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like completely move, take shape, like form into something. We would
I
call
just
that a
heard
manifest.
opera.
Like opera music or the word opera?
Like someone singing it.
Okay, so you heard opera
Like
music.
a guy singing it.
Okay. And that's unfortunately a downgrade. Somebody broke my upgrade 2 weeks ago. So I'm waiting on the insurance to pay me back for it. So I can,
Oh no.
and luckily that was in my retired box.
No.
So that I could bring it back out again. Because that's kind of a staple because it's so fun to watch because it's so unique. You don't get to see that stuff every day.
Right.
Because I do use 3 different cameras. So that is always a staple because it's state of the art. And it's not like an app you guys can go home and download. Like
Right.
that's actually like what a fireman would use on his phone to go help save people in a burning building. To
Oh,
go find them. Like,
yeah.
That's what that is. That's what
Okay.
you're using. Like it's not meant for ghost hunting. Like it's thermal imaging is meant for ghost hunting, but not FLIR itself because it is top of the line and pricey.
Right. Oh, I
So-
bet.
So yeah, when somebody dropped the last camera and
Ah.
the piece like bent out of it, I'm like, ah, you had a good run. Eliza, you gotta make yourself known. It's a little bit front.
Just come say hi. We're nice.
Some ladies have been learning about your family all day.
Yeah.
Or all week, rather, all weekend. They would like for you to fill in some of the gaps. Maybe you did play music and I just never knew it. I always took you for the science person, scientist, botanist, not the
I heard
musician.
take your time.
Take your time. Well, Eliza, you know we don't stay here long.
I was gonna say, how much time? How much time? She's like, well, I have all the time in the world.
We have a bunch of zeros up in this corner. Let's see what else we got. Just little tiny spikes, like nothing. Where I'm like screaming that we got ghosts here. Somebody's car's busted. Eliza, what's that flashback look like? What are you referring to? There are two official dates that are showing up this upcoming week for Eliza as well. So I usually pay attention to the dates like that might be a heightened emotion for the particular space. So her wedding anniversary is coming up, I want
Oh.
to say on the 27th. And then the anniversary of her death is on the 26th.
Oh.
So, yeah, so she didn't, like, they weren't still married. He was already passed.
Right.
But
Still.
I know. But at the same time, you know, it just depends on like what the heightened emotion of that would actually be. So if it's a sad day, obviously I might not get much on that specific day.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But if it's a wedding anniversary day, I might see a spike.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see like there's actually one of our locations where we're going where one of the parents and their child both died in the same month, but not in the same year. So
Mm.
that particular month is like a whole month of mourning, and we get nothing from it. And
Oh.
it sucks for me because it's October, my biggest month of the year. So
Yeah.
it's usually like last October it was like completely silent out of this gentleman. So it was kind of like all right, why is this happening? And then I was like, all right, that makes sense now that I really look at it from
Yeah.
an outside perspective of like, hey, they both died in the same month.
Right.
They don't want to talk. They're
They're mourning.
yeah.
So they're people. Not everything's going to be a dark, you know, something.
Right.
So I'm not getting a whole lot here. I don't have a whole lot going on this guy either. I do have the word end. Look at that. Like, in other words, it's kind of like, sometimes I'll take that as kind of a sign like, hey, she just doesn't want us to be here right now.
Right. No problem.
So, and maybe because I brought those two things up. So Let's go back to the back, like where we started. I'm going to keep an eye on these two things while we walk back there, and then I will give you all of the answers to the things that I look for when I get back to the office, and then explain the next location. So that's kind of how this will always work. You can hit stop on your camera and, you know, relax a little. So, you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy.
Yes.
Right, and my beard beads should be a different color. I haven't worn these ones yet, so I was like, oh, I wonder how these ones will show up tonight. So you said you're looking for cold spots. They're going to be blue and black. I normally make the joke that, you know, you could see me red, orange, and yellow because that means I'm the hottest thing inside the frame right now. And it works when there's ladies in front of me. You're supposed to laugh. Thank you. So I have jokes all night. This is how this goes. But anyway, sorry, she's so excited that she's like, there's jokes, really? I got to laugh? I thought I was supposed to be out here ghost hunting. But anyway, we're going to be looking for blue and black, and we want those shapes to either take shape or to start moving on their own. You're always going to have blue or black in there, like windows and glass and things like that. But when I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. That's what we've caught in the past. That's a full blue person, if you didn't capture that. So person walking towards you, walking away, going in a different direction, that's what I'm looking for. We've caught it. Hopefully we'll capture it again. Do I capture something with this every night? I don't. I get about 4 to 5 solid pieces per year that I will put my stamp of approval on, not 4 to 5 per YouTube episode, right? So I kind of like to just point that out. Again, you're not on TV where everything's going to be a ghost.
Right.
So all you'll have to do is handle this guy right-handed and hit that button when I tell you. Nice and easy.